What's going on, guys? So today I'm giving you an update on the Benchmade saga. It does continue, as well as talk about some other things. This is just a continuation of my first video, explaining what was going on with Benchmade and my opinions on it. I did some research yesterday on some various sites to kind of get a short list, and this is just an example to drive home a point that I have, an opinion that I have. But I'm going to give you guys the breakdown on where some companies stand politically. All right, so people who are very strongly opinionated about companies' politics, this may help you. Maybe it'll help you understand where to shop, where not to shop. But anyway, first let's talk about Benchmade. Actually, I don't leave my hat on anymore. I was making this video outside, but it's 25 degrees out, and there's up to 50-mile-an-hour gusts of wind. So I don't think you guys were hearing anything I was saying anyway, besides I was freezing. So that's why I still have my jacket on and my hat. So I brought this inside so it's easier. You guys can hear everything I'm saying, and I'm more comfortable. So where do we start? Benchmade. They, and by the way, you can watch, there's other videos that are very good on all the details and specifics. I don't really care about the details. I'm just getting a general point across if you want to do your own research. I always recommend that, by the way. If you watch one video and it seems very well done, still research. Don't just take one person's word for it. Find out this information from multiple sources to see if it's actually correct, because oftentimes information is incorrect. So anyway, Benchmade responded again, and in a nutshell, what they're basically saying is, number one, they're not going to do that anymore with the guns. They will still continue to help and support their local police department, but obviously this was a huge disaster, so they basically announced that they're not going to be assisting in destroying any kind of firearms for any reasons, okay? So that's the first thing. Taking a step back, going, uh-oh, maybe we shouldn't be doing that. All right, so fine. So they're not destroying guns anymore. They also went into depth into basically explain that, because people are like, all right, fine, picture aside, all of a sudden everyone's finding out that you're supporting these Democrats that are anti-gun. Well, what they're basically saying is that they're not so much supporting anti-gunners as much as they're supporting Democrats, because it is a Democratic state, generally speaking, and they're supporting these people because they are also for, loosening knife restrictions, okay? So it's not necessarily, or at least not purposely, supporting anti-gun politicians. They're supporting pro-knife politicians that will help lift interstate travel bans, or not bans, but restrictions and all kinds of stuff like that. Even just changing the laws state to state, to make more knives available to people. Benchmade's a knife company, as we know, okay? They're an American company. If you're in America, right off the bat, you should be supporting them because they're American. They're providing American jobs to American citizens. They make a great product. I still agree with that. But at least there's some perspective on what's going on. It's not like, hey, we don't like guns, let's on the sly give this politician some money so they can help restrict guns. It wasn't like that. They're basically saying that, we're trying to get knife laws reduced and just, basically erased. There's no reason why there should be any knife restrictions in any state across the country. Anyone should be able to carry any knife they want anywhere. Now, I feel strongly about that. Many of you do as well. And clearly the people upset here are the people who feel the same way about guns. Personally, I don't think there should be gun restrictions either. You guys are going to disagree with that. A lot of you are going to disagree. Even pro-gun people are going to disagree with that. But I'm all for the freedoms. I feel like you should be able to give people the freedoms, and if they misuse those freedoms or abuse those freedoms, that's why we have laws. That's why we have prisons and court systems. I'm cool with that. If someone wants to do something bad, that's fine. They will be punished for that. But that's just my personal opinion. I think less restrictions is a good thing across the board. Let people decide what they want to do. If they mess up, they get punished for it. It's that simple. You can't protect everyone. That's everyone's problem. All these people trying to put restrictions on all these dangerous things, across the board, you're just trying to change how people work, and it doesn't work that way. There's always going to be evil people doing bad things, okay? Again, it's like beating a dead horse, but when you make laws and you put restrictions on things, the only people that follow those are law-abiding citizens. Criminals do not care what the law is. The flip side of that is people will, argue, well, the punishments have to be there, so if they do misbehave, they're punished appropriately. Fine, I get it. Anyway, so that's pretty much the update with Benchmade. They basically said, hey, sorry, never gonna do that again, but just so you know, we're pushing for pro-knife stuff. We're not trying to push for anti-gun stuff. That's not our deal. We are a knife company. We want to sell knives. We want to sell more knives. We want to grow. They've also made the statement that they've been one of the leading knife companies to help, reduce knife restrictions across the U.S. and so forth. They've also claimed that the money that they donated to these Democrats was nothing in comparison to what they donated to Republicans and pro-Second Amendment organizations and so forth. In the millions is what they claim. There's no real, as far as I know right now, there's no actual proof. But then again, understand something. What really is proof? It's the internet. You go to a website. I can make a website right now that says Benchmade donated $50 million to the NRA. Where's the validity there? How do you know what websites are accurate? How do you fact check the internet? You can't. You just can't. Even with legitimate websites with legitimate people are run by people, and people make mistakes. So take that. That's food for thought. You never really know what's true. So anyway, moving on to my long list. So yeah, I spent some time yesterday doing some research on some different companies, where they stand politically. One of the points I was making to some people and having some conversations is, again, I have a vast amount of respect for someone that has strong ideals, and they stick behind their scruples and everything else. Okay, if you're pro Second Amendment, I totally understand. I totally get it. A company might be doing something bad, hurting your cause, so you don't like it, and yeah, you have the right to boycott. My whole point in the first video was that it's just unpractical to constantly, change your life to purposely not support these companies, right? And this hopefully will give you an example. This is a list of different companies and where they stand politically, all right? And at the end of this list, after this conversation we're going to have, I'm going to ask you a question, all right? So pay attention. There will be a quiz. So we're going to start off by talking about Republican-leaning companies, okay? Number one, Taco Bell. I wouldn't have guessed that. Taco Bell, 87% of their donations go towards Republican Party. Wendy's, 91% of their political donations, over $230,000, go towards Republicans. So, more Taco Bell and Wendy's in the future for the pro-gunners, right? Dell, 74%, over $217,000 donated to Republican politicians. Wonder Bread, 99% Republican. 99% since 1979. Probably the most conservative bread company out there. Now, I'm going to stop for a second and just say something. Wonder Bread sucks. I don't like it. It's not the best bread. I'm a pro-Second Amendment person. I like guns. I like my gun rights. I like my freedoms. However, I draw a line. I'm not going to stop buying, well, I haven't had bread in a really long time, but let's say I'm consuming bread all the time. I'm not going to stop having wonderful, delicious bread to switch to Wonder Bread and have an inferior product to support a very conservative pro-Second Amendment company. All right? And I also want to take another second to just remind everyone that when you're talking about a company as a whole, right? Like I said, Taco Bell, Wendy's, Dell, Wonder Bread, all Republican. It doesn't mean if you work for Taco Bell, you're Republican. It just means that the CEO or the owner happens to be mostly Republican, so that's why they donate accordingly. Or again, a room full of board members, suit and tie guys, right, and women. So it doesn't represent the employees. This has nothing to do with the employees. This has nothing to do with the customers. This only has to do with a select few people, right? The president of a company can think one way, and 99% of the entire company involvement can think the opposite, but it doesn't matter. Because the person writing those checks, that's the only opinion that matters, and people have opinions. So next, Waffle House, over $100,000 donated to the Republican Party. Applebee's, 91% Republican. Applebee's sucks. I've been to Applebee's. I forgot what I got I think a rack of ribs, and it tasted frozen. And the barbecue sauce was horrible. But they're Republican. So if you don't mind really crappy barbecue sauce and you're pro-Second Amendment, you might as well go in there. You can have your rifle on your back and the whole deal. Okay, probably scare everyone anyway. But Applebee's, pro Second Amendment. All right, very Republican. And by the way, let me stop for another second to make another point. Not all Republicans are for guns. Not all Democrats are against guns. We know this, okay? It's not so much black and white, and people try to make it black and white, and that's why people boycott companies, because that's making it very black and white. You don't like this, I do like this, I don't like you. That's that simple, right? But it's very gray, okay? As we know, there's a lot of flip-flop politicians. There's a lot of, like I said, there's Republicans that lean a little left, and there's, you know, obviously Democrats that lean a little right. So not every issue is so black and white. There are plenty of Democrats that are pro-gun. Imagine that, right? So anyway, if you go to Vegas, you might want to stay at the Sands Hotel. 62% Republican. Is that a Republican enough? That's another question. They donate the majority, most, to Republicans, but it's only 62%. That 38 other percent goes to the enemy. So are you going to support them? I don't know. Home Depot, 73% Republican. Over $1.2 million donated to the Republican Party. Arthur Blank, owner of the Atlanta Falcons and former co-chairman of Home Depot. Guess what? Supported Hillary Clinton in 2016. And then again, well, I should say again for Hillary Clinton. First supported Obama in 2012, then supported Hillary Clinton. So they are 73% of the time donating to Republican politicians. So you think, yeah, they're pro-gun. But, again, I wrote this specifically, the owner of the Falcons and a chairman for Home Depot, okay, so someone on the board, supported anti-gunners. So where do you stand with that? It's a pro-Republican company with people involved with that company who make money when you shop there, but they're fighting for the other team. Things are getting kind of hairy here, right? It's not so black and white, is it? Best Buy, $100,000 towards the Republican parties. But here's a catch. Best Buy only backs candidates who oppose gay marriage. Are you for that? Are you against that? Are you going to stop buying your stuff at Best Buy? I don't know. I'm sure there's lots of gay people who shop at Best Buy. They don't know that. Should they know that? Should they stop, spending their money there? I don't know. Things are getting really complicated, right? Imagine that. Politics are complicated. Domino's. Pretty Republican. Extremely pro-life, by the way. All right, very anti-abortion. So if you are for choice, you're pro-choice, you probably don't want to enjoy Domino's because you'd be supporting those people who are very pro-life. Chick-fil-A. What do I have to say about them? Everyone knows about them. Traditional family values, very anti-gay. So if you're gay, you should probably not enjoy their absolutely delicious chicken sandwiches. Urban Outfitters, which I'm not really familiar with, I've heard of it before, also very anti-gay. So much so that they pulled clothes that were pro-gay. Different symbols and stuff and slogans. They took them right off the shelf. They're like, we don't like that. Red Lobster, 91%. But they also donate to the left. I don't know why I put that note on here. I forget what I read. And this is compiled, by the way, of multiple sites. Not like just one source, one bias. This is probably 7 or 8 different websites collectively I got this information from. Next, Carl's Jr., very anti-gay. So much so that from what I read, I have no idea, but the LGBTQ, I think I got that right, they call them bigot burgers. So if you want to have a bigot burger, Carl's Jr. is the place to do it. Target, over $150,000 donated to Republicans. But they also try to look bipartisan. They do things like they took off the signs for boys' toys and girls' toys, so they kind of like appease the left a little bit occasionally. And obviously people who are for that kind of thing. AT&T, 66% Republican. Over $1.7 million donated to Republican politicians and the Republican Party. Is that enough, though? 66%? I mean, that's where these questions come in. If you have an AT&T service, is that enough pro-Second Amendment? Where's the line? Does it have to be like 80%, 90%? Because here's something else you'll notice. no one's 100%. Even Wonder Bread, 99 point something percent Republican. That means like at some point, for whatever reason, they pointed out, you know, that they voted for the opposition, or helped the opposition, I should say. And something else, let me take another break here. Something else some people have mentioned, which I think is very important as well, is that, specifically in the case of Benchmade, right, donations could be misconstrued. There's a lot of reasons why you might donate for a candidate. There might be a very specific thing that they want to accomplish, and that's why they're helping this particular politician. It doesn't mean they support him 100%, right? Every president that I've ever lived my life under, I've liked things they've done, and I didn't like things they've done. I've never supported, well, I shouldn't say that, I've never supported. I've always supported my president 100%. And I will say this right now. I support Donald Trump 100%. If Hillary Clinton was president, I wouldn't like what she was doing, but I would support her because she's my president, or would have been, right? As an American citizen, I know there's people watching all around the world. This doesn't pertain to you, obviously, but if you're watching and you live in the U.S., as an American citizen, we want to succeed. You don't want to wish your president to fail. Are you kidding me? That's like treason. Just saying. So anyway, where did I leave off here? AT&T. All right, Pizza Hut, 95% Republican. If you enjoy your Pizza Hut and you enjoy your guns, you're a happy camper. In fact, they're the 11th highest Republican company in the food industry. So, Goldman Sachs, 52%, over $5.9 million towards Republicans. But again, 52%, that's like barely pro-Second Amendment, right? Does that even count? Hobby Lobby, we know the deal there. Very religious company, at least the owners. Very anti-abortion and so forth. Let's see. Former CEO of Sherwin-Williams supported Donald Trump in 2016. So I guess you can say that they're pro-Second Amendment. I don't really know. Where's the line? Like I said, Republican doesn't always mean pro-Second Amendment. How many times have I said that in this video? I don't even know. Also, other CEOs who supported Republican parties at some point or another. CEO for Bed Bath & Beyond, Hallmark, Sears. Not really working out for Sears that well. Whole Foods and McDonald's. So let's talk about Democratic supportive companies. Verizon, 67%, over $1.6 million towards Democrats. Oracle Technologies, which is like an umbrella company, lots of other brands, I'm sure, 72% Democratic, $1.8 million. IBM, 68%, $1.7 million. Dish Network, 55%, $1.4 million. Boeing, right, the airplane manufacturer company, whatever, 55% Democratic. Bank of America, 57% Democratic. Apple, 87% Democratic. How many gun owners have an Apple phone? I happen to. I have an iPhone. I've always enjoyed iPhone. I just happen to prefer Apple, you know. But they don't like guns, apparently, right? Stinks for me. Wells Fargo, 54% Democratic. Citibank, 60% Democratic. Comcast, 56% Democratic. And when I'm using these percentages, I'm talking about the percentage of money that was allotted towards donations towards Democratic candidates, okay, or politicians. JP Morgan and Chase, 54%. Microsoft, 80%, over $5.7 million to help the cause for Democratic parties. Starbucks, Ben & Jerry's, we know Ben & Jerry's. They went as far as making a political ice cream. Anyway. Build-A-Bear Workshop, bringing your kids down and make a bear. Not anymore, not if you like your guns, right? The CEO supported Hillary Clinton. How horrible. And then Meg Whitman, which a lot of people know, former CEO of both eBay and Hewlett-Packard, supported Hillary Clinton in 2016. So that's just a list for now. Now, this is tip of the iceberg. This is just like, I don't know, 2 dozen, 3 dozen companies. We use thousands and thousands and thousands of products in our lifetime. Thousands, hundreds of thousands of products. All these different brands, all these different companies, all these different opinions. How can you possibly keep track? You would have to literally do what I did, but spend a lot more. I mean, this information took me like an hour. You'd have to spend days or weeks or months compiling a notebook of companies with a check mark, you're for them, or a big X that you're not. And when you go out to run your errands and you go out and shop for your food and your clothes for you and your family, when you're buying a car, you know, all these different things we do every single day, a day-to-day basis, you have to realize whether you're supporting pro-Second Amendment people or you're not. Now, here's my question. Here's the quiz part of the show. Can you remember what companies were pro-Republican and what companies were pro-Democrat? I can't remember them all. And I'm the one who wrote the list. I spent an hour looking at it. There's a handful in there which I'll never forget just because of different events. Like Chick-fil-A, I'll always know their political stance just because it's been in the news, things like that. But there's so many companies on that list that I was actually surprised about, and I won't remember that. And next time I walk into one of those places to get some food or to buy some clothes or to buy something for the house, you know, toilet paper, you know, soap, whatever, I'm not going to remember what companies support what ideals. I don't know. I don't want to support things that I don't believe in. But it's incredibly impractical to live your life like that. And like I said before, I'm not against people having a strong opinion. I think it's awesome. I think it's cool that you stick to your guns and you know, you have these strong morals, personal morals, you know, and you're fighting the good fight. And I believe me, I get that. And and some people might look at this as like a lazy thing. Well, hey, it's lazy, or it's you know, it's dumb because it's inconvenient. You know, a lot of people will think that. Well, just because it's a little inconvenient, Jeff, you're not going to support the Second Amendment. It's not like that at all. It's more than inconvenient. And these issues are not black and white. The companies that I told you were, you know, mostly Republican. Were they even mostly? Some were 52%. 52%. 48% of the time, they're helping the opposition. So where do you draw the line? That's my biggest question. Where do you personally draw the line? If every single store that you go to and you shop in your life, everything that's around you, if they all support things that you don't like, what do you change your life that much? I just don't think you guys can keep up with it. Honestly, I think the worst thing that has ever happened to business is politics. There is no room for politics in business. It's just bad for business. All these companies that are coming out making a stand. I mean, I can't tell you how annoying it is when I hear an actor or an actress or a musician make a political statement. It doesn't matter if I'm for it or against it, because it pushes away enjoyment of entertainment. You know, there's actors, I'll tell you, Robert De Niro. I love Robert De Niro. I hate his political views. I don't like him as a person. I never met him. I never will meet him. But I still enjoy his acting. But now, because I know his political opinions, when I'm watching him play a character, I'm thinking about that. And it's ruining the show. When I hear a song, I just want to hear the song. I want to be entertained. Okay, when I watch a movie, I want to be entertained. I don't want to think whether I like this person's, you know, personality. Because quite honestly, someone like Robert De Niro, his personality doesn't matter. He's entertaining. So I enjoy the entertainment. All these different stores, you know, I enjoy shopping at these stores. I enjoy a lot of these different products. I don't enjoy supporting something that I'm against. It's a really tricky situation. It's really what it comes down to. It's super tricky. Nothing is so black and white. And it's hard. It's hard to make a stand and say, I definitely will do this or I definitely won't do this. I mean, I'm not for purposely supporting something I'm against, but you just can't help it. And let me ask everyone who's older, if you're in your 40s or 50s or 60s, what did you do 30 years ago? You didn't investigate, you know, companies' political stands. Obviously, companies have been donating to politicians and, you know, pushing different ideals since the beginning. But no one knew about it before, so it wasn't a problem. It wasn't an issue. You go down to the corner store, you buy your milk, you bring it home. You're not thinking, hey, the people who make this milk, are they for abortion? You know what I mean? Like, no one was thinking of that kind of stuff. It was a simpler time. So I just want to make this video to give you an update on the Benchmade situation, to give you a better perspective. They're trying to, you know, they were trying to support their local police department. Didn't seem like a big deal. Blew up in their face. Hey, we're never going to do that again. But also, here's the reason why we were supporting these particular politicians. They were going to help with knife laws and knife restrictions. They were, you know, pro-knives, basically. We're a knife company. That's why we did it. That's essentially what was done and why. In addition to that, the whole rest of the video where I spurted off all this random information, which again, I mean, the source of this information, the internet. Is it all 100% true? I don't know. I have no way of fact checking that. Neither do you, quite honestly. So take everything with a grain of salt. And again, that's why, like, if I look online, I see one of these particular companies and it says, all right, they're 72% Republican, or 72% of the time they help Republicans, and it really doesn't mean anything to me. I'm sorry, it doesn't. I work hard for my money. I try to spend my money wisely. I pay my taxes. I do the right thing. If I want to get a good product that I feel is a good product, I'm going to get that product. I try to leave politics out. It's no different with knives. There's so many knife, there's just a lot of drama. Drama that, hey, this person did this person said this person sued this company. You guys have some of you do, but most of you have no idea what goes on in the knife industry behind closed doors. It's ugly. It's just like every other industry. You know why? Because you have a bunch of people selling the same type of thing, and they all want to sell it. They want to make money and pay their bills and feed their families, okay? It's competition. Of course, it seems a little friendly, out in the open, but of course it's competition. God, when this Benchmade thing happened, you saw I'm not going to name them, you saw the other knife companies. They were very excited to jump on board and make a funny picture or meme or tell everyone how much they love guns. You know why? It's good for business. Because those customers that left Benchmade, they're floating out here, they still need knives, and these other companies went, hey, we like guns, and they go, oh, okay, I'll try you now. It's business. It's not personal. And that's what it all comes down to. It shouldn't be personal. Everyone just takes things like crazy. It's so passionately emotional. It's a mob mentality. Something popped out, everyone went, oh my God, and they just could not, they lost their minds. So anyway, I'm gonna leave you with one more thought, and I already mentioned this, but I'm gonna say it again because I wanted to stress this. It's something I think about personally is, in the case of Benchmade or any of these companies, doesn't really matter which one, you're not just hurting the boss, okay? By boycotting a company or deciding not to enjoy their products anymore, even if they're good, you're not just hurting making those donations, because that's a single person or a room full of people. You're also hurting all of their employees. In the case of Benchmade, those are hardworking American employees in the state of Oregon. They go to work, right? They earn a paycheck just like the rest of us, come home, feed the family, pay the bills. Those people are just as much involved, and they're just as much affected by the boycott as the single owner or the room full of people making those political donations. So just something to think about. Anyway, that is it. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you guys enjoy your day, and I will see you tomorrow with another video. If you're new to my videos, I make them every single day. All right? You might not get them in a subscription box if you subscribe to me, but I make a video every day. I have for a decade. And tomorrow, I'm going to make another one. So if you enjoyed it, come back and watch that one too. It probably have nothing to do with this one. So that's it. Have a good one, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.